G'day and welcome to the Peter Montgomery Show. It's great to have you here. Now, I've got an awesome guest lined up for you today, but before we kick off, I just want to introduce you to our sponsor, YMag. YMag is a magazine all about your why you do what you do in business. One of the many great things about YMag is you can submit your why story to be featured in the magazine. You can request to be a feature writer about your business and about your why. And also, this is something I've taken advantage of, is you can secure prime advertising space in the magazine, and it's directed towards a niche audience, which is just incredible. I love it. So after the show, click on the link and go subscribe to YMag. All right, let's go meet our guest today. Well, g'day, Dev. Welcome to the show, mate. It's great to have you on.
Hi, Peter. Thanks. Good to be back.
Yeah. Listen, man, I've caught you at a time and you're out and about.
Yep.
Where are you today, man?
Look, I'm just at a coffee place near my house, which is where I work from. So, I mean, I have the kind of business that I'm in. It's really a lifestyle kind of business where I love the ability that I can just get up, meet my clients wherever I feel like it. If it's a nice weather, which is a beautiful day today, I can just go to a coffee place near my place and work from there. And coincidentally, I had some relatives visiting from overseas today, and my place was a little bit noisy, so I thought, yeah, what the hell, let's go to a coffee place and have a chat with you here.
Yeah, and I love you. I was saying to you before, just before we started, I love your attitude of just assuming it's going to be all right. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I'm out and about, but I'll catch you where I catch you.
Hey, where there's a will, there's a way, right? Make it work.
That's awesome. All right, man.
It's entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, you've got a thing coming up, an event that's quite different from the last thing, I imagine, too. So, can you talk to us about who it's for? Who's this event that you're running for?
Yeah, look, I'm really excited about it, and thanks for chatting with me about it. This event is really for... Okay, so just to give you a bit of context, I've been speaking and training for about 4 years now, and I can't really say I've been in the speaking and training industry the way a lot of people who watch your show probably know, because I've been working with organizations privately, I've been speaking on other people's stages, and I've had the great privilege of connecting with hundreds of entrepreneurs around the country, delivering my message, but not necessarily at my own event. So what I'm really excited about with this one is that for the first time I'm actually organizing this myself, so that A, I've got maximum control over the content that I'm delivering. Secondly, I get to be more of myself than I probably ever have before. And thirdly, I get to work with exactly the kind of people that I want to be working with at this event. And that really is, to answer your question directly, it's really entrepreneurs and small businesses who are not satisfied just competing with everybody else out there in the market. See, I get a lot of people approaching me to work with me who come to me and say, okay, well, this is my service, this is my business, how do I make more money? Or this is my service, my business, how do I get more clients? And what I found is that every so often you'll get someone who is not just satisfied with getting a piece of the pie. What they want is to be the best. What they want is to let their clients and customers know that they're actually the best option out there. And now I'm just being approached by a waitress asking to take my order,
cool.
I assume.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So just give me a second. Hey.
Would you like to start with a drink?
Yeah, can I just get let's get a skim cap.
Skim cap?
Yeah. Small.
And that was all? Or you already-
That's all, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. So, yeah, okay, so people that want to be the best.
Yeah, people want to be the best, and there's certain things that go into that which a lot of people in the market don't understand. And I've realized over my 10 years of being obsessed with what makes some people stand out above the rest in social situations, and what makes some messages and ideas stand out above the rest in social and professional in various contexts. And what I've realized is that you go to all these seminars, and I've been to a ton. And you go to all these seminars and they teach you the fundamentals of what you need to do to establish a business, or they'll teach you a whole bunch of tricks and tactics about what you need to do to start generating more revenue, or to get basically all the methodologies out there that you need to get your word out there. And all of that stuff is very useful and it's very important. And I'm not knocking any of it. Of course, there are some good seminar leaders and some bad seminar leaders and some good trainers, bad trainers. That's the standard in any industry. But what I found is that what's missing is that no one's really talking about the real deep stuff that goes into establishing a brand that is actually perceived as the leader of the industry. So there's a lot of talk in the industry these days about personal branding, and what does that mean? There's a lot of talk these days about using social media to have more meaningful conversations with your customers and clients. What I'm really interested in doing is bringing all these different elements together at a very integrated level, so that people understand that you actually don't need to be using all these tricks and tactics without having a fundamental strategy to make sure that you're actually positioning your brand at the top from the very start, rather than, I guess, competing with everybody else so that you're slowly encouraging your way up.
Okay, so could you just draw a distinction for us
Yep.
between what you're doing and, I don't want to say the other guys, but like what the people that you were just sort of talking about then? Like, so what's the distinction between what someone's going to get at your event that they may not be getting at these other events?
Sure. So the biggest distinction is that what I see a lot of people doing, a lot of mistakes that entrepreneurs make, is that they get lost in the tactics of their marketing strategies. They get lost in the tactics of their branding strategies if they have some idea of what branding is. What I like to do with my clients is focus on making sure that they've got their philosophy down pat. So making sure that they understand that at the very foundation of everything that they're doing, it comes their philosophy, their why they're doing what they're doing, who they want to be working with, why that is. It's specifically what motivates and drives them to basically do what they're doing. And sometimes an entrepreneur or small business would be savvy enough to work on that initially, and then they start developing a strategy, but by the time they get to executing and implementing, they lose sight of their philosophy. So I usually describe it in the pyramid, and maybe I can attach it for your viewers in a document that they can download. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that if you focus so much on your tactics without referring back to your strategy, which is then aligned with your philosophy, you lose a whole bunch of integrity in your branding. And that loss of integrity, that lack of integrity, actually translates to your customer's experience as well. So what I'm interested in doing is providing a really deep and rich understanding of how to make sure that your brand is actually integrated across all three of those domains, rather than just providing a bunch of tips and tools and tactics that you can go and use, and they might work for you for a little bit, but then not really be sustainable in the long run.
Okay, excellent. Can you describe what you see as being the difference between tactics and strategy?
Sure. So tactics is essentially what people do in the day-to-day or in the short term to see if something it's really to drive a particular part of a strategy to make a little motion towards what your objective is. The strategy is a bigger picture. So the strategy will be your set of tactics and the motivations behind those that combination of tactics towards your bigger picture objectives and goals.
Okay, so like to put it into maybe two armies fighting each other, it's like, okay, we're going to go over there and take that hill. That's the strategy, and the tactics are, here's how we're going to do that in incremental pieces or stages.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
So I've understood it right?
Yeah, so I know that you subscribed to my video series at sketchtosuccess.com, and in that video series, one of the videos actually explains what the difference is, the real difference between tactics and strategy. Yeah. And I'm not sure if you've seen that video yet, but basically the idea is that a lot of people think they understand the difference between tactics and strategy, but they don't really understand the real difference as to how understanding that difference actually makes a huge difference to your business. So people get confused. They don't understand where the distinction needs to be made between strategies and tactics. And when you understand that distinction, what you're able to do is every time you say, okay, this is something that we're going to try to increase our revenue or increase our customer base or increase our exposure, we can actually measure it against our strategy to say, okay, does this tactic actually match up with our strategy? Is our strategy aligned with our philosophy? And then you're not just shooting arrows in the dark. You're not just basically taking a shot and hoping that you hit the target. You actually have a basis to make sure that there's a solid, there's a solid reasoning behind doing what you're doing.
Okay, now in the past, I know that you've been working with like non-profits and business. Now they're kind of very different, but there's a lot of similarities as well. So could you tell us maybe something you've learned that, say, with non-profits in the social side of things, that are you bringing some of that to the business stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, since the last time I was on the show, Peter, I've had the privilege of growing so much as an individual, but also in my career. So I fired a whole bunch of clients that I was working with, and I know that sounds a bit harsh, but basically what it means is that I realized that my direction was going in a slightly different way, and I needed to step up my game in certain fields. And I've had the privilege of now working with clients all around Australia, and actually doing some business with people around the world as well now. And the more I have these experiences of working with people from diverse industries, the more I realize that there is no difference when it comes to positioning yourself as the absolute leader or expert in what it is that you're doing. Whether you're a non-profit, whether you're a social enterprise, whether you're a for-profit business, the point is that the same principles are going to apply in a very conscious and unconscious level. And what the foundation of those principles are is relationships, and using the currency of emotion in a strategic way to make sure that you're communicating the messages that you want most effectively. And it's funny you bring this up. Actually, just yesterday I ran a seminar for community organizations and nonprofits, and it was in Western Sydney here, and it was such an amazing experience. I walked into this seminar, and it's a long time since I've delivered a training to nonprofit organizations. I walked into this training not actually being very clear about where I wanted it to go. I decided that I just trust my instincts, trust my intuition, and see what would happen. And it was amazing what came out of this. The training was basically so the kind of intentions that people set, the kind of expectations that they set at the start of the training that they wanted to learn how to make a branding strategy, how to market themselves so that there's more awareness in the community. They wanted to know how to effectively partner with business partners, and we covered all of that. But the amazing thing is that at some stage, it just got so deep into what somebody's personal values are as a professional that starts reflecting in the work that they're doing. Talking about things like responsibility versus accountability. And when you're a part of a bigger organization, and even if you're just a solopreneur, you're still part of a bigger system, especially these days when it's so easy to be connected with so many people that you're working with. And I'm sure you appreciate that experience very well as well. That it actually became a very emotional experience at this training, and we did this meditation exercise completely spontaneously, where basically I switched off the lights and everybody had a chance to close their eyes and reflect on why they got into the kind of work that they're doing, which is working with very marginalized communities, working with very disadvantaged people, why they got into it in the first place, and what that actually means to them in terms of their personal development, just in life, their mission in life, and what it means to them to be able to continue that work, not just as a job, but something that really gives them a lot of passion and a lot of meaning and a lot of purpose in life. And I realized that that conversation could happen exactly the same way with entrepreneurs and small businesses. And this is the problem that I find with a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses, is that as they get caught up in the operations of their business, as they get caught up in the tactics part of that, of what we discussed, of that pyramid, they lose sight of the philosophy. They lose sight of why they found so much drive and motivation and meaning in doing what they're doing. And it really saddens me, because I was heading down that path as well. And if you want to just make money, there are a million ways to do that. Really, there are. And if you want to just have very high-paying clients, yeah, you can do that as well. But I'm interested in working with people who got into doing business, got into being entrepreneurs because they were really passionate about something. Something made them feel that their life should be worth more than just making money or just having great clients. They want all of that as well, but they want to know how they can do what they're doing at an extremely high level, where there actually is no competition. Like, imagine living in a world where, the Peter Montgomery show, there was just no alternative to it. The people who love you as much as they do, and I know that you have those people as well, they don't even think about going anywhere else, because there just is no competition. It's just the Peter Montgomery show, that's it.
Yes, I agree. Now that's awesome, man. Like, I can see just by what you were saying there about the integration. Like, so you're becoming much more integrated with. It's like your business. Everything you do is kind of in total alignment with each other section of your business, you know, your philosophy, your tactics, your strategy, your values, so that every day is just kind of, you're just living it. You go to work, you never work a day in your life because you're just doing what you would rather be doing instead of just working a job, you know,
exactly
stuff to make the money. Because I could imagine even having a business that is, its purpose is to just make money, that'll become just like a job. You know,
that's right.
Push button A, B comes out. You know, push button C, D comes out. There it is. It's just like, yeah, whatever. And you got money, but why? So what? Who cares if you got all that money? You don't even need a lot of money really to live a fulfilled life. Just enough.
No.
If you've got enough money to take care of the things you've got to take care of, you got some time on your hands to kind of do stuff. Now you got a little bit of money.
Yeah,
you're successful in my eyes. That's it. Like it's not about the amount. But so what's something you mentioned too before, and we've spoken about this a little earlier on too at a different time, that your event is not about the what only. It's like, most of the events I've seen are about, here's what you need to do. You need to do this, 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 and this, and they give you 9 things out of 10, and they tell you all the things you need to do, and you go, yes, okay, now I see the picture, I need to do that. And then the big thing at the end is, well, now give us lots of money, and then you get the how.
Yeah.
And even then, from what I've heard, you don't always get the how. You just get more of what, and the next, give us lots of money to give you the how, and it just keeps going on like a cycle. Now, we spoke.
Right.
You're aiming to kind of take that out of what you're doing and just go, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about that? What is it that you're going to get? You know, the difference, the real
Absolutely.
how.
Absolutely. I actually explained this in the training that I ran yesterday as well. It's the difference between a seminar and a masterclass. And I thought about this a long time as well, because for a long time I had no idea what the difference was. I actually thought it was just a buzzword that people threw around. And basically, you know, masterclass is the latest trendy word that you use, the term that you use to call your training event. And I've realized, at least for myself, that there is a difference. And the difference is this: in a seminar, there is interactivity, but there's a lot of a delivering of content. When you go to a masterclass, there's an expectation that you're going to get results right there in the event, because you're actually mastering something. And in order to master something, you need to take action. So I've made this commitment in my event that even though it's just a one-day event happening on Friday 19th April in Sydney, even though it's just a one-day event, it's going to get you results. Because anyone who comes to the event, first of all, is going to be qualified to be there. And what that means is that I want to make sure that the group is conducive to being extremely supportive, and also not just supportive in an emotional, encouraging way, but resourceful, very resourceful to each other. And so far, you know, for the respecting of privacy, I won't name names, but I've got some really impressive people coming along, and I believe you'll be there as well, right?
Yeah, I'm there for sure, man. Bells on.
Exactly. So, amongst, including yourself, many other impressive people as well at this event. And that's going to be really awesome to have that group of people there. But I think the real difference is going to be that the hands-on engagement that people are going to get at this masterclass to actually work on something that, of all the trainings that I've been to, doesn't actually get worked on. It doesn't. It sometimes gets worked on a little bit when you go to a 5-day training where you pay $10,000. My event is not a 5-day training. It's a 1-day training, and I can guarantee that you'll get that same impact in 1 day that you do when you go to a 5-day training and you work on the little things there. And of course...
Wow, man, you just magically zapped to a new location.
I did. It's the magic of working outdoors.
Yeah, no, it's had a bit of a drop out there. I think you might have seen it. It depends how I edit it back in. I might leave it there. I'll work out something cool. But either way, so Dev, last we were just chatting a minute ago, you were talking about how your 1-day event is going to have the same kind of impact that you would get at a 5-day event in other situations. So can talk a bit more about that.
Sure. I want to make sure I'm clear on what I mean by that. I don't mean that my 1-day event is the same as other people's 5-day events. Because I've been to events that have just been magical. But particularly, I rant and rave about Jeff and Kane. You know, Jeff is a business mentor of mine, and you know, I love those guys. So I wouldn't want to put myself out there, you know, competing with them. What I mean is that a lot of 5-day events will have a little component of what my 1-day event is going to dive deeper into. So I haven't yet been to an event where they spend a substantial enough time on what I'm covering as much time as I think entrepreneurs need to be working on in a training event. The fundamentals of branding, I feel, are relegated in trainings to the tactics sort of domain, and they don't really cover it at that really deep fundamental level that they need to be covered in. And there are fantastic trainers out there, but I mean, look, this is just, it's a piece of value and advice that I give to anyone, whether you're coming to my event or not. I really encourage you to just take the time in your business to reflect consistently, not on just why you got into business in the first place, but is the strategy that you're employing actually integrated and congruent with that philosophy? Because it's one thing to make a strategy that will make you a lot of money, and it's one thing to have a bunch of tactics that will get you some exposure and make you some money in the short term. And it's one thing to have a philosophy, but if those all three things aren't actually working congruently with each other, then you might have a little bit of success for a little way, and then you'll get really frustrated very quickly.
Okay, so now, what kind of results are we talking about here that people are going to walk away with? You talked about having actual results at the event. What results are you talking about there?
Okay, so the first thing is that one thing that I pride myself on is all the clients that I've worked with, some very, very small entrepreneurs and some very, very big businesses as well, have had massive clarity in what they want to do. And even me, I confess, I used to have a lot of self-esteem issues around using that as something that I can give people, because I used to think, well, there are other people out there who are claiming that they'll make you 6 figures, they'll make you 7-figure incomes, they'll double your revenue and all of that. And granted, I've had the privilege of being able to do that for my clients as well. But what I realized is that I was undervaluing the ability that I have to get this level of clarity that allows people to make sure that they know what they're doing, so that they can feel like they're actually the owners of their business. Because I remember reading this for the first time and coming across this concept in Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. It's a very famous book. I'm sure a lot of your viewers know about it. And he talks about the entrepreneurial myth, of how some people think they're entrepreneurs, but essentially they just end up setting a job for themselves. So rather than being able to work on their business, they get stuck working in their business. And I often joke that in most cases they end up having a worse boss than they had before.
Yeah. My boss is a hard ass, man. He drives me hard.
Exactly. Join the club. But I think the freedom that so many people get into business for, you lose sight of that, because you lose that integrity, you lose that congruence between your philosophy, strategy, and tactics. And when that happens, you just end up basically suffering that whole E-myth thing, where you started a business for yourself that you end up working it like a job and with a shitty boss, and then you just get frustrated. And having that clarity will be able to give you an indication of where you need to change your perspective in your business, so that your change in perspective, your clarity, can be communicated clearly to your audience, your market, your community, your clients, your customers, so that they can have that experience of you being a world-class brand.
I've noticed, because I've become a lot clearer on where I'm going and what I'm doing and what, what's my work, what's the show, because, people always ask me, so how do you make money doing that? It's the first question. It's a brilliant question, because then I can have a chance to sell them something if I've got something for sale. But the thing is, I've become clear. Here's how I got clear with what I do. I was doing it for people, and they kept asking me questions. Oh, what about this and what about that? And then it just kind of evolved into what it needed to. If I had to try and invent that in a day, someone goes, here's what you're going to do, bang, here's your business. It wouldn't have happened. It's like over a period of time that it evolves, it becomes clearer. Then you can, all your messages is just explaining, okay, I do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's just knowing, now I can understand exactly who my client is and who my client isn't. And that's really, is that what clarity's for? Like, I work on Xerox machines when I was a technician, not Canon. So if someone rings up with a problem with a Canon, I can't help them. But I can fix your Xerox machine and these specific models in this specific range, only color. So it's like this little section pocket that I can do, and to explain that to someone is simple in those terms. But I guess with these types of businesses, it's a little bit harder. It's not black and white. So I do this model, that's it.
Yeah.
So, but is that kind of the clarity we're talking about? So it's like really obvious that you're my client, and the client goes, you're the guy who's going to help me.
Yeah, look, that's definitely a part of it. Something that I'm going to be covering in the masterclass, and something that I did cover a little bit of in my free video series on sketchysuccess.com, is this idea that there are laws of branding that most entrepreneurs and businesses are breaking without even realizing it. And I'm going to be revealing what those laws are, but I'll tell you one of them real quick over here, and it's quite profound in itself. And when I realized this, I realized that this whole notion of competition and stepping into the market and trying to compete with other people, it's very old school and it's very archaic in many ways. And this is what it is. The law says that basically it's better to be the first than it is to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain what that means, actually. A lot of people step into their marketplace and their industry, and they say that work with us because we are better than the people that you've been working with. And at a tactics level, that might work to get you a few sales. But at a branding level, where you're actually establishing, it's kind of like you're teaching your customers and clients and your prospects the kind of relationship that you want to have with them. Trying to be perceived as being better than the competition, it actually doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because people place their perceived value and their perceived credibility on whoever is first in the market as higher than somebody who can even stack up a bunch of evidence to say that you can do a better job than them. So, for example, let's say you have two mechanics in the same area. The mechanic that comes in first into the market says that I've been the first mechanic in this area. He's built up their relationships with the local market. He's done. Granted, they both do good jobs, and they've both done fantastic work and had good relationships with the clients that they work with. But then the second person comes into the market. The second person comes in and says, "We will do a better job than the previous mechanic." Now, you get into this whole conversation about commoditization and value markets. Now, if we're looking at it in a commoditized way, then there will be a number of people who will try the second mechanic out and see how they work, and if they're better, they will go to them. But statistically, and the research proves this, that there will still be a majority of people who will stick with the first mechanic because automatically in their minds what they're thinking is that the second mechanic is kind of like a copycat. And a copycat is no substitute for the original. Now, when you go in from a non-commoditized place and you're talking about a value market, what you're saying is that we're not just any mechanic, we are actually a mechanic that specializes in this. Now, all of a sudden, that second mechanic that came into the market, being the second mechanic in that area, is actually no longer the second mechanic. They're actually the first mechanic to specialize in that particular thing. Just like Facebook, when it came into the marketplace, it wasn't, obviously it was competing against MySpace in some ways, but it made a point of difference for itself so that it was no longer the second MySpace. It was actually the first Facebook. And it's a bit of an abstract concept to understand this, but there are literally hundreds of examples in the world about how this works. And there's actually a lot of research done in consumer survey markets that the perceived value of a particular product actually has nothing to do in correlation with the quality of that product. So there's some research that I mentioned in one of my videos in the video series that I mentioned on sketchysuccess.com, is that there was a survey done in, actually I forget the magazine off the top of my head, but basically a series of cars, and I think it was in the 60s, and they were ranked per quality and they were ranked per perceived value in the marketplace in terms of sales. So which car brand was leading in sales, and which car brand was actually objectively leading in terms of quality of product. And I think what they found was that there was a particular car company that came fifth in sales. They were actually first in quality. Then there was one that came third in sales. That was, I think, last in quality. Yeah. Then there was that came first in sales, and that was second. But the point is that there was actually no correlation. You couldn't work out a specific pattern as to the quality of the product and the sales of the product.
Yeah. So basically, in a sense, like what I'm getting from that is brand and the best don't necessarily mean most sales at all. Like to be the best, doesn't mean that your brand is what's going to make you make sales, whether you're the best or not.
Best in terms of quality. And I think the point is that, look, obviously I'm committed to working with people who have integrity within themselves and within their organizations. They're going to be, there's a baseline assumption that the work that you're going to be doing is ethical, legal, and of high quality to begin with. If you don't qualify for that, I'm not going to work with you. But when you get to that certain baseline, then coming into the market and trying to convince people that you are actually better than whoever was first in the market, that's a recipe for disaster.
I reckon it seems like you've stacked up this whole bunch of work before you even get the work or the customers that, now we have to get all this message out there that we're the best. But if you're just the first, it's like, we've never seen that before. Wow, I want to go. I want that. If you're the first one doing that thing, then people are just going to come to you because you're the one to do that. I get it. Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's sort of sunk in. Like you've already quadrupled. Pull the number out of my head. Quadrupled the amount of work you need to do just to get on level with that other company, because you've stacked up. Hey, look, I've got to try and compete and be there. But if you're just different, it's like there is no one else there. So you don't have any extra work to do at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. So I always compare. I'm always just comparing in my head as you were talking. Apple versus Android. I think that's what the other ones are called. So Apple iPhone.
Yep.
The iPhone is an iPhone. You look at an Android. Oh, is that an iPhone? Oh no, it's the other one.
Yeah.
So and people that are Mac guys or Apple guys, they're not going to change over to Android, even if Android make the better stuff. It's like, well, it's not an Apple.
That's right.
They're sticking with their favorite company sort of thing.
That is, and I talk about this example in one of the videos, and what I mentioned in particular was that I'm not an Apple fanboy, as I just mentioned to you as well earlier. I'm not using an Apple computer right now.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Apple, but I'm not an Apple fanboy. And when you're not an Apple fanboy, you kind of are a little bit more open-minded into the market to see what the truth is about Apple products. It's cool. I know that Apple makes good stuff. But what I've come to realize is that so many things that we assume that Apple was the first at, they actually weren't the first at. So when we talk about MP3 players, nobody says that. Well, if you have an iPod, you don't say that I'm listening to my MP3 player. You say I'm listening to my iPod. But Apple was not the first people to make MP3 players. They actually weren't even the first company to make smartphones. And yet, if you have an iPhone, you don't say, I'm talking on my smartphone or I'm talking on my mobile. I have a HTC. I don't say I'm talking on my HTC. I just say I'm talking on my phone. But if you have an iPhone, you're going to say I'm talking on my iPhone. Now, there's something in that goes to say that it doesn't actually have anything to do with the quality of your product as such, or even whether you're the first in market in the general kind of service or product that you're delivering. The thing that makes Apple the first is that Apple is the first to be what Apple is. Apple is the first to create the kind of customer experience that they create for their customers and clients to feel like you belong, you're a part of that story. Apple was the first to do so many things, but they're not necessarily the first people to create that tangible, generic kind of overarching label of the product that they sell. So the reason that I'm telling you this is because I've had conversations with people who are accountants, and they say, well, this doesn't apply to me because I'm just another accountant. Or this doesn't apply to me because I'm just another consultant. There are hundreds of marketing consultants out there, and I understand. I've had this insecurity with me as well, and I've learned to overcome it because I've realized that there is only one you, and if there is only one you, then the question is not whether you're the first consultant or not. The question is, how do you make people understand that you are the first and only you, and there are people out there who are perfect to be working with you. How do you find those people? How do you make sure that you're actually connecting with those people in a way that message is just so crystal clear that in their mind the question of exploring the market or going to someone else doesn't even arise?
So now they've found you, here it is.
That's it. That's what I was looking for my entire life.
A fine example of that is a situation where it actually came through you, where you messaged me one time, because when I started the show and I started doing interviews, it was before it was even the show, but you kind of acknowledged, hey, you're doing this. Hey, I'm a fan of these two guys. I've never heard of those two guys.
Yeah.
Who you mentioned, I won't mention them. And then I looked, I'm going to Google them, found them, saw what they were doing, and I saw one, and it was like, he had a training course that was just, it was just so perfect for me. I sold stuff, I didn't have the money at the time, or like sold things just to get the money, put it together. And actually one of the things I bought was this mic and a training course, because it was going to teach me so much, and it was obvious that he'd been there, been through the training. What he had was exactly what I needed. I didn't even know it existed, but as soon as I saw it, I went, got to have it.
Yeah.
And I'm implementing a lot of that stuff today. So it's like I can see where that happens, where I didn't even bother looking, I wonder what else is out there now I found this. It was, I got to have that.
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to work.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing to mention as well is that a lot of people find that that's. So I've had these conversations with people, and they've said, Dave, we want help with our SEO, because when people do Google searches on these terms, we want to be the first to show up. So first of all, for those of you who don't know, here's a bit of trivia for you. A whole bunch of SEO companies are going out of business now, because the world of SEO has changed so much. Search engine optimization, for those who don't know what that is. And the reason it's changed so much is because the way people search has become a lot more human. And the way search engines are displaying results, not just Google, but all of them, has actually become a lot more human, a lot more, and it's become a lot more social. And if you're a brand that is trying to build your credibility, build your reputation, build your relationships based on just being the first to come up on a search result, you're missing out on a huge stake in the game where you're actually being perceived as the first in market. So what I mean by that specifically is that someone does a search result and they might actually come up with a whole bunch of options. So for example, when you did your research, I gave you 2 names. You may still have gone out and found like a bunch of different things, but there might have been just one person out of those, let's say, dozen options who was actually the perfect solution for you. And in your mind, the reason that it was the perfect solution for you is because it was the first one to claim that spot. It was the original solution provider, not necessarily the first person that you found amongst those dozen, but just in your mind it was registered as this is the person who is the leader, the first person to occupy your mind as the expert in what that solution was that you were looking for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, totally, man, totally. And I just thinking about your Google thing as well, right? Your reference there. So it's not. It used to be they're on top, so they must be the best. That was a perception. Yeah. They're the first. Yeah. I googled this, found it. They're on top. They're the first. They're the best. Yeah. Or not the best, but I'm going to go to them because they're there for a reason, whatever that is.
Sometimes it is perceived as the best, and look, sometimes that still applies, and it applies to businesses who are not necessarily interested in playing a long game to be world-class brands. If you're just a commodity, like for example, ironically, SEO consultants. Generally, if you're an SEO consultant, you do search for SEO consultants. You want to work with the one that's right at the top of the list. And if they're too expensive, you just go to the next one. If they're too expensive, you just go to the next one. Yeah. And that's a very commoditized way of working. But I'm not interested in working with those people. Not SEO consultants as such, but people who are just happy being the first person, people who show up in search results. What I'm talking about is someone who wants to be world-class brands like Apple, like Virgin, like Nike, Adidas.
Sounds like to me like you're talking much more about connection. Yes, you might be found first, but you want to be the first one to connect with the person who found you. So they might go through all those, but they'll pick the one they connect with the most. So the content then has to be something they connect with and interact with, as opposed to just being.
That's right. And content,
something with a buy this button.
That's it. And content marketing comes into that as well, which is something that we'll cover in the masterclass. And all of that stuff comes into it. And I think it's really when you start bringing all of those things together into a neat little system, and you know exactly what to do step by step to present yourself in a way and articulate yourself in a way to yourself and to your prospects and customers and clients, then no matter where you are, people will find you and you'll be perceived as the leader. And you'll also be perceived not as the leader just locally, but you'll be perceived as the leader, as pretty much the only leader and the only option around the world, wherever you want to be, for whoever you want to be working with.
All right, man. Now listen, if someone wants to be the only option for anyone who finds them, where do they come to register for this event?
Sure. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to give a link to at the bottom of this video, so they can go to sketchtosuccess.com/live, And when they go to sketchtosuccess.com/live, they'll go to the registration page to be able to register for this event. And what I'd like to do, Peter, as well, is just offer a special promo code to your viewers as well, so that they can get a special discount. So if they go and they've seen this video and they go to the registration page at sketchtosuccess.com/live, and they use the promo code. Now I have to make up a promo code for this as well.
Yeah, that's all right, man. So this is off
How
the
about
cuff,
you give
guys.
me
This
one?
is how it happens.
Yeah, why don't you give me one?
I'll give you one. Okay. Do you want me to invent one now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Promo code, something really original, The Peter Montgomery Show.
Sorry, what was it?
The Peter Montgomery Show.
The Peter Montgomery Show. Okay, that's what it is.
Let's
the
make
promo
it.
is the Peter Montgomery Show.
Okay, and
when they enter this promo,
one word, first letter of every word, capital. So just make it a little bit different.
okay, cool. I'm not sure if it's case sensitive.
Yeah,
but
mate. If
okay,
it doesn't
we'll
work,
do
we'll just put it in. They can copy and paste something in there anyway.
that. No worries. We'll do
Cool,
that.
man. So yeah, you're
And,
going to give us a nice discount. That's mighty fine,
You're-
mighty nice. Of
You're going to get a 30% discount off the tickets if you enter that promo code. Is that enough, Peter? Or
Yeah, no, that sounds good, man.
Or should
That's
we
good.
make it more?
I'll tell them, hey, man, pay the full price. But I mean, if you're going to give a discount, why not take it?
okay, I'd like to give them a 30% discount, and the reason I'd like to do that is because I know that the people who watch your show, most of them are the kind of people that I want to be working with, and I think they're going to get a lot of value out of it. And you know, like I'm psyched that you're going to be there as well. I think that's going to be awesome. So it's an opportunity to connect with you as well. And I just want to make it very clear as well that there's actually an early bird discount just for another few days on the tickets, and this promo code actually applies on that discount as well. So
That's a double discount.
even if it's like a double discount, yeah, it's a huge discount. So it's going to be cheap as chips. And to be perfectly honest with you, I want to make sure that people are committed to coming to the event, but you know, this is not an extremely expensive event. I want to make it accessible to people who are committed at this level, and then they can start playing a bigger game along with me as well.
Yes. All right, man. Excellent. Well, guys, yeah, take advantage of this because I'm going. We can come and we can hang out. We can actually meet in person too, which will be cool. And be at an event where we're going to learn heaps of cool stuff. And it's actually why I got Dev on, because I know he's got quality stuff and different when it comes to branding and what it all means and piecing together philosophy, all that, like you've just heard in this whole interview anyway. But yeah, just sort of my stamp of approval with Dev. Yeah, he's a stand-up
Thanks,
guy,
man.
and he's going to really deliver on the day. And yeah, but come down and hang out anyway. Say that date again, just to make sure.
Sure, it's Friday the 19th of April, and it's in Sydney. It's at a beautiful little function center where it's actually a fantastic room. I checked it out. There's a lot of natural lighting, a lot of fresh air in the heart of Sydney. It's very easy to get to, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about it.
Excellent, man. All right, I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you there.
All right, see you there, man.
Cool. I'll edit that little bit of weirdness out.
Yeah.